intro. Many Cinderellas made their presence known at the big dance this weekend, Jesse. However, only one is sticking around for Das Sweet 16. Top of the morning, everybody. Welcome to the show we call The Sweat. We bring it to you Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, and it's presented by DraftKings. You are looking at the A-team. Emerson Latzia, Jesse Cofield.
That's right. And on top of March Madness bets, which are all consuming, we're diving into top fantasy plays on the NBA slate, NHL sportsbook plays,
that's important.
and what to expect in the final WGC match play at Austin Country Club.
The end of an era.
First things first, though. One of the most exciting weekends on the sports calendar has come to a close, a dramatic close on Sunday. My God.
Mother of God.
My God. All right, let's dive into the madness of March with DraftKings contributors Julian Edlow and DK Nation's Colin Sherwin.
Hey, Jules. How are you? Colin, good morning. Colin, you're still out in Vegas? Awesome. Great talk.
Yeah, he is.
Okay,
Cool.
Thank you very much, Jules. So this year's men's tournament here, dude, has already seen, for just the second time in recorded human history, a 16 seed knocking off a 1. We have a 15 seed knocking off a 2 for the third year in a row, and the Fighting Ross Tuckers of Princeton are still alive. So, Jules, I'll start with you because I know you can hear me. Who was your biggest winner from the first weekend?
I mean, anytime a 16 knocks off a 1, you just said it's the second time it's ever happened.
Yeah.
You have to be the biggest winner, even if you come up short in that next game against FAU. I just think the weekend in general, like why we call it March Madness, played out exactly to a T. It's so unpredictable. And I think one of my biggest takeaways is like I was very excited to fade Purdue on Sunday playing against what I thought would be Memphis. I thought Memphis had a great shot against Purdue. Neither of those teams won, and we got Florida Atlantic against Fairleigh Dickinson, and that just seems to be how this tournament works. So props to Fairleigh Dickinson. It was also equally as pathetic by Purdue to have somebody that's 7'4" not score the last 8 minutes of the game or whatever it was. But yeah, we finally, we thought we would never see 16s beat 1s. UMBC got the job done with Virginia. And now here we are watching it play out again. This is becoming a thing. And interesting to note, UVA did bounce back the next year and win the national title after losing as a 1 seed. We'll see what kind of revenge this puts in Purdue's mind for next year.
Colin, with just 4 of the top 8 teams in the seeds remaining, that's the fewest since the 2018 tournament here, man. What was your biggest takeaway from the opening weekend? You have choices galore here.
That filling out a bracket is just like a completely pointless exercise at this point. With the amount of parity that there is in college basketball now, you are just throwing darts at a dartboard in a single game sample situation. I think we saw that with Purdue. Look, I've hated Purdue all year. Y'all have heard me call it 4 kids from math class and Zach Edey, and I didn't think that this was going to happen. So just a wild weekend. I think what we're starting to see is that certain coaches really coach for the tournament. If you've got an Eric Musselman, a Tom Izzo, guys like that, maybe those are the programs that you should be riding the rest of the way, because they seem to be able to turn it up in these one-off situations. Sample size here is the thing for sure. Another program like that would be Miami. Miami did not play well in round 1, and they were lights out yesterday. So maybe look at programs as opposed to individual teams when filling out your brackets in the future. But otherwise, I got nothing. This was just wild.
All right, Thursday slate consists of some close matchups here. Largest spread currently Tennessee -5.5 squaring off against Florida Atlantic. What is your favorite bet on Thursday's menu, Colin. And this one has already shrank a little bit. Now it's Tennessee favored by 5.
This Florida Atlantic team is really, really good. I think they haven't gotten a lot of credit all season because of who they play. But if you can if you can win 33 in any season, you're playing really well. But for me, the best game on the board is going to be the one I'm at on Thursday night, which is I think UCLA is going to beat Gonzaga. I just think they're too strong defensively, even without Jalen Clark. Assuming David comes back, I just don't think there's any way that the Zags are going to be able to pound the ball inside. They're not going to be able to get up the shots that they're normally able to get. And I think UCLA is going to be able to move the ball, and they're so good from the mid-range. Jaime Jaquez is just so good in those mid. If you need a bucket, he's probably the best guy to get a bucket in college basketball. Gonzaga will struggle with them defensively, and I just really like UCLA laying only 1.5 right now, and I think that goes up. And then that Arkansas team is really going to get in the shirts of UConn too. Eric Musselman, man, January, February, April, May. It's unbelievable what that guy has done, and they're going to scare UConn, that's for sure. I got that. I have 4.5, and I really like it.
Jules, what are you on for Thursday? Michigan State, Kansas State, just a 2-point spread in that one.
Yeah, the first game to get going, it's a good game at MSG, Michigan State and Kansas State. Not one that maybe a lot of us had in our brackets, but it's a great game, against a program that is known for its success in March in Michigan State, and a program that was picked to finish dead last in the Big 12 in K-State that's just, stolen everyone's hearts. I don't know where I'm going to go on that game necessarily yet. I agree with Colin. The best play on Thursday. I'm very jealous he's going to be out at this game. There's no place better for a UCLA Gonzaga game than in Vegas. Both programs will have great crowds. It's UCLA money line for me. And I admittedly do have some Gonzaga 18-1 to win it all. So that allows me maybe to load up a little more on this game, protecting myself anyway by betting UCLA. But it's about balance in this tournament. Ultimately, what wins? The teams that go deep, balance on both sides of the ball. And UCLA, even without Jalen Clark, one of the better defensive players in college basketball, still has balance on both sides of the ball. Gonzaga does not have that on defense, and I think that's what's going to make the difference in that game. So UCLA is the best bet on the board for me, but a really good board. I think ultimately this is when teams like FAU, who are really good, kind of maybe can regress. They didn't have that impressive of a road to get here. They probably shouldn't have beat Memphis and got fortunate to. And then you get Fairleigh Dickinson. So I could see Tennessee coming through. I don't mind laying 5 in that game or putting them in a money line parlay with one of the big Friday favorites. And that Arkansas UConn game is gonna be a war. Physical, a lot of NBA size in that game. I don't know quite where I'm at yet. I really like both teams a lot, but I think that's going to be the best game of the night along with Gonzaga and UCLA.
Well, Jules, when we go to Friday, I'm looking at the spreads here in the DK Sportsbook. They're thicker, they're meatier. Tightest one between Xavier and Texas. You got the Longhorns as 4-point favorites. Hey, Princeton's getting 10 against Creighton, 4th Ivy League team to make the Sweet 16, which started in 1975. What's an early lean for you on Friday?
Okay, so a lot of the underdogs obviously do very well, particularly Thursday and Friday, and then, to the same degree on Saturday and Sunday. This is generally where favorites tend to break away a little bit more. You get to go back to campus for the week, celebrate. Woo, Princeton, we made the Sweet 16. And now you got to gear up for a Creighton team that when they have their starting 5 on the floor, they can play, have the potential to play as well as anyone in the country. So a lot of these big ones, Houston, if they were going to drop, I loved Auburn on Saturday night. If they were going to fall, it felt like that was the spot, a road game. Now they get to rest for the week, get ready for a Miami team that kind of exceeded expectations. I think any of the favorites of 7 or more, you could throw in a money line parlay. I think they're all going to win, and I think you will be fine with that. But for the shorter game on the board, I do like Texas. I'll lay 4 with Texas. I have Texas winning it all in my bracket. Like UCLA, one of those balanced teams on both sides of the ball. Xavier has played with fire a little bit. They beat a Pitt team that's nothing special. I think that this is where Texas kind of pulls away against Xavier.
Colin, you like that strategy, throwing a money line parlay for some of the bigger dogs on Friday's slate? 3 of them of at least 7 points?
Ban parlays. It's why the city I'm in is so beautiful. Don't do parlays. But if you're
those 3 teams are going to win, though.
They are gonna. I do agree. I do think those 3 teams are gonna win. But I actually like Miami with the points for value here. I don't think they win outright. But I think they can keep it around. It's just an interesting matchup because let's face it, Houston, incredible defensively, amazing to watch, but they can't shoot. And you're going to need to put the ball in the hole to beat a Miami team that really can score from 2, from 3. I think Miami, the best clear-out player is Jaquez, but the team who has the most guys who can get a bucket left in the tournament is probably Miami. With Norchad Omier back and healthy and playing well, as he did yesterday, I think he can give Houston just enough of a problem on the offensive glass. Now, look, Houston's going to get offensive rebounds and stickbacks. That's what they do. They're really good at it. But I think Omier can get in the way just enough to give Miami some value here. 7's just too many here. So I like the Canes. I don't love the board. I love the Thursday slate a lot more than the Friday.
All right, but Colin, the Sweet 16, it does give us another opportunity to play the futures market. Which are you on ahead of Thursday and Friday's action? We got 2 number 1 seeds remaining in the tournament. So you got Alabama plus 350, Houston plus 360. Then you got a pretty steep drop there to UCLA and UConn. But, hey, the Cinderella of the ball, the Princeton Tigers, sitting at plus 18,000 there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah, they're on the board.
They're there.
If you're in another state, you might not see them because you might be getting the jersey default here at DK. So yeah, 180 to 1 sounds about right. I love Pete Carrill. I love Princeton basketball. I love what they've done for the game for the last 60 years, but they ain't winning this thing. Arkansas at 30 to 1. Look, man, they can beat anybody. They're so tough. They play so hard. That's the thing you can't replicate is the effort that team gives night in and night out. They just knocked off the number 1 seed in a 1-game sample. 30 to 1 is just way too much here. There's value. Do I think like in a coin flip situation they win this thing? Absolutely not. But 30 to 1 is just way too high. Give me Arkansas. That price is wrong. It's just wrong.
All right, Julian, what do you think? Who you rolling with?
Yeah, I'm not at the point where I'm going with any long shots. Colin is probably right. Arkansas is more talented than the number that is put next to them right now. So I'm fine with that. You take a crack if they get by UConn. Now you have a great number. You can already start hedging. For me, I'm going to just stuff my face with some more chalk because that's what I love to do. Nice. The path for Alabama was so easy to begin with, and it just keeps not getting much more difficult. Now San Diego State is not going to keep up with Alabama's scoring. It's just, that's going to be too lopsided of a matchup. So they're going to make it through and potentially get Creighton, who is a double-digit favorite over Princeton. That's a tough game, but you can bet Alabama minus 125 rather to win the region. I'm pretty confident you're going to have Alabama minus 125 money line against Creighton, and then you can decide kind of what you want to do there. You've already got a good number. I like these futures. I have Alabama minus 105 to the Elite Eight, so I already have that short money line ticket on them for that Friday night game. And then you can also forget winning it all because I think that right side of the bracket with Texas, UCLA, UConn, even Arkansas, Houston, like a good team is going to come out from over there. But Alabama to reach the final and beat whatever of the Tennessee, Michigan State, K-State, whatever comes out from down there, Alabama's plus 180 just to reach the final and get there. I think that's a really good number on them to win a few more games.
All right, guys, appreciate it. That is all the time we have for our opening segment on this Monday edition of The Sweat. Appreciate both of you, Colin. I believe we're talking golf with you coming up in this show, so rest up, and we'll see you then. But we're going to keep the basketball talk going here with the old man and the three, featuring a fun little chat here with NBA All-Star point guard Damian Lillard about how life outside the NBA is not all about the NBA and basketball.
Who knew?
The thing for me has always been, and Jason and I talked about this yesterday, the thing for me has always been how poised and how calm and how seemingly unbothered you are by all the noise. How do you maintain a level of sanity within this discourse?
Because I have a real life. Like, I think that's the best way to put it. Like, I don't live my life as Damian Lillard. Like, I go home, I play with my kids. Like, I play with my kids. I go to my mom's house. I hang out with my cousins. You know what I mean? Like, I have a life. I talk to my grandmother on the phone, and You know, my uncle calls me and we talk on the phone all night about just regular stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like, I have a life that's stable and is not based upon who I am as an NBA player. Like, I have real friends, you know, like my best friend comes to Portland and he works a job where like he can work from home and he'll come stay with me for, you know, he's single and he'll come stay for a few weeks. He'll book a one way and we have a real friendship. So like, I don't sit here and just think about I need to leave all the time. And I'm not sitting there watching TV and hearing everything they got to say, like, oh, I probably should do this or I probably should do that. I'm like, when my career is over, y'all are not about to be talking about me. Y'all going to be talking about Luka Doncic, Ja Morant, and Jason Tatum, or whoever when I'm done playing. You know, they'll talk about me when they say, who had the most 40-point games or 50-point games or Portland, whatever. But like, why am I going to be sitting here overly concerned with everything that every person has to say about me when they don't know my life? Like, they don't think about me when they get off of that camera, you know? Like, and when I'm done playing, they won't think about me. Like, they don't think about you.
No.
You know what I'm
No,
saying?
well, they think about me in other ways, but yeah.
I'm just saying, they don't think about you. They don't think about Michael Jordan.
So
why they gonna be thinking about me? So why would I be concerned with it?
Okie dokie, I know we're all consumed by March Madness,
Yeah,
but
we
let's
really are.
not forget the association heading into the final 3 weeks of the regular season here. So we got a 6-game slate coming our way this evening. DK Nation's Chinmay Vaidya and Mike Mutnansky of Mutstack.com are here to help us build a killer DFS lineup.
Yes, and by killer you mean money making.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
start
what
with
I
the,
meant.
Let's start with the big men here, Chinmay. Which center are you rolling with? Joel Embiid, obviously by far the most expensive at 11.6, dude.
Embiid has actually overtaken Jokic in the MVP race.
Woo!
And this has been late movement that happened last week. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep this up. He's been absolutely dominant over the last 15 or so games. But I think that you can save a little bit of cash here and go just a step down with Domantas Sabonis of the Kings. He gets a favorable matchup with the Jazz in full tank mode, and Sabonis has been excellent. 2 games in the last 4 over 60 DK fantasy points and 1 game over 70 DK fantasy points. No evidence that the Kings offense is going to be slowing down anytime soon. They're 100% healthy. The matchup is great, and you're saving a little bit of money, so I'll go with Sabonis here.
All right, what's the move in the middle here, Mutt? Because Joel Embiid, yes, as Chinmay pointed out, minus 220 now, favorite for MVP. Jokic plus 250.
Yeah, it's wild. And I'm going to go after the chalk here. I know he's going to be probably a popular play. I know he's 11-6. But after a wild college basketball weekend, and you guys were talking about it earlier where everything that you thought was going to happen did not happen, I need the known. I need the known commodity, the MVP favorite right now. I want Joel Embiid. He's been great his last 7 to 10 games. The MVP thing is legit right now to the point I think it's motivating him and the Sixers here a little bit. And the Bulls matchup, I don't mind this matchup whatsoever. He's averaged, 23-11 in his career against Vucevic when he's been in there for the Chicago Bulls. So I get it. It's basic. It's bland. It's generic. I want Embiid. I want the known and build around him tonight as I start my lineups.
I mean, you're right on that, Mutt. 12 career games against the Bulls. He's averaged more than 29 points, 11 boards, 4 apples, and almost 3 blocks per game, dude. It's unbelievable. Like, you can't argue with those numbers.
All right, well, Mike, you're paying all the way up for him, so what's the move it forward here?
Yeah, I'm going to have to pay down. I'm going to go with the guy they call slow-mo, Kyle Anderson. 6,900, nice price there on DK tonight, under 7K. And he's filled the stat sheet. A week ago tonight, he had a triple-double. He's not going to score 40 points a night for you, but he's someone who is going to get points, rebounds, and assists. The Knicks this year, guys, 20th in fantasy points allowed against small forwards. So he's got a good matchup tonight, fills the stat sheet, played 51 minutes 2 games ago, so the usage has been good there. So give me Anderson at under 7K as a value play at forward. I'm going to pay up for Embiid at center.
Yeah, the Knicks, who the Wolves are facing tonight, also don't defend small forwards well, allowing the 3rd most fantasy points per game to the position this season.
Yes, honey.
So, Chinmay, where are you going here?
Yeah, I'm using a similar strategy, paying down a little bit here, but I'm going with the Hornets and Kelly Oubre. 4 straight games with at least 35 DK fantasy points before he had a little bit of a dud last time out against the 76ers. He gets a Pacers team that, let's face it, they're going to play a lot of younger guys. They're going to start leaning into this tank race a little bit more. I think it's a little late for them now with like 10 games left, but they're going to try as best as they can. The Hornets have already started tanking the last 20 games or so, but Oubre continues to play and continues to get big minutes. So I'm going to go with him here, paying down a little bit at this spot. And there's not a lot of great forward options that you would really want to pay up for on this slate. So I agree with Mike here. Pay down at this spot. Anderson's a good play. I like Oubre, but there are a lot of value plays at this position for tonight's slate.
All right, Chinmay, but plenty of guards to choose from. So which one are you deciding to slot into your lineup, and how much money are you willing to spend here?
I have to spend up here and go with the Golden State Warriors point guard, Stephen Curry.
Yep.
He's been absolutely unbelievable, even as the Warriors continue to lose road games inexplicably. Curry has been phenomenal. He can go for 50 on any given night. He gets a phenomenal matchup against the Rockets. This is one game on the road that they probably should win and should win pretty comfortably. Give me Steph Curry to keep this good thing going.
It's another one of those situations where the dude is like super expensive, but you look at the numbers, especially with Houston giving up an NBA best 55.1 DK fantasy points per game to Curry's position too.
Yeah, it's interesting. This Warriors team is yet to prove to me they can win on the road, but Chinmay is right. This is a spot where they should win. I'm going to go on the other side of this with somebody who's not priced quite up to that level. 8K, Kevin Porter Jr. His last 7 games, 15 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.7 threes, and 1.1 steals. I want the guards against this Golden State team tonight. They need a win desperately. I saw the total of this game has gone up here last couple of hours, 238, now almost 239 in some places. So high scoring game, a player playing well, and he's not quite priced at that elite level. I'm going to go Kevin Porter Jr. 8K tonight on DK. And again, trying to save some money. If I'm going to play Embiid, I got to find some value elsewhere.
Yeah, Mike, speaking of that, how about an overall value play that you're looking at?
It's tough. Chinmay made a great point about the forwards. Like, you want to mix and match with lower price forwards, that's fine. I'll get to it in my bet of the night coming up, but the Dallas injury situation this morning is still up in the air. Luka questionable, Kyrie questionable. My idea tonight is I'm going to wait as long as possible till the reports come out. Obviously, in the NBA and DFS, you got to do that anyway, but it felt like on tonight's 6-game slate, the value is waiting to see who's in, who's out, and then making moves from there. I can't make that call until I see the injury. So I'm chickening out and saying I'm waiting till the injuries come out, but there'll be some spots later on today once we get the reports.
All right, Chinmay, where are you looking for that super value?
I'm going to go with the Timberwolves. I'm going to go with Jaden McDaniels coming in at 5K. He's played big minutes all season. He's probably going to start once again, no matter what happens with Anthony Edwards. But if Edwards is out, then McDaniels could see even more usage. The price point is not as high as Kyle Anderson, and maybe he doesn't do as much rebounding and distributing the ball, but he's going to see more usage if Edwards is out. And I like the minutes that McDaniels has gotten this season anyway. So at 5K, I'm willing to pay up for him, even if Edwards does suit up. I don't think he will, because he didn't play Saturday, but he's listed as questionable, and there's always a chance he could get in. So give him McDaniels at 5K.
All right, 6 games on this slate here, guys, and we've talked about some of the high-priced dudes that you are feeling. Chinmay, give me a higher-priced player you're not feeling, and you would recommend the people watching right now fade tonight.
I think he's been a phenomenal player, and he's filled his role perfectly with the Sixers, but James Harden at 10K is just very hard to back when the Bulls rank 3rd in fantasy points allowed to opposing point guards. It's just not a great spot. Harden hasn't been scoring as much as you would like from a star player, especially at this price point. And when you're backing Embiid, who has dominated Vucevic in this matchup historically, I just don't see how Harden gets the necessary fantasy points to justify a 10K price tag.
All right, Mutt, talk to me here, Goose.
Yeah, I'm going to go heads up against Chinmay tonight. I'm not going to play Domantas Sabonis, and he has been really good against Utah. His last 2 games, he's been over 50 DK points. He shot 80% from the floor in those 2 games against Utah. They've got a rookie defender inside who's played a lot better as of late. Somebody that I want to see defend tonight, Walker Kessler against Sabonis inside. If you watch the Celtics and Jazz on Saturday night, late night amidst the college basketball, you saw guards score well against Utah. The Celtics big men did very little. A couple of guys did not play in that game. But to me, it just below Embiid, what Chinmay said, I think people are going to gravitate towards trying to save some money. I'm asking you not to do that. Play the big price guy. Play Embiid. I'm going to go against Sabonis against the Jazz rookie center.
All right, take us to the DK Sportsbook, Mike. How about a favorite bet listed for tonight's slate?
Oh, thankfully, still the account still has some funds in it after college basketball weekend here in Massachusetts. I want Memphis tonight, 2-point favorite at home against that Dallas Mavericks team. They've been awesome at home this year, 29-5. The Mavs on the road, 15-20. So 5 games under against the spread. And the public was with me. I just looked at this a few seconds ago, and I'll confirm it here. 86% of the bets, 94% of the money is on Memphis laying 2. We get the 2 right now, depending on the injuries for Dallas. I'll lay the 2 at home. Give me Memphis as a home favorite tonight.
All right, Chinmay, what you doing here?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot here on this slate in terms of value plays. I'm just going to parlay most of the favorites here. So the 76ers, Warriors, Kings, Knicks, I think they all come through here. Moneyline parlay 4 teams comes in at plus 199 on the DK Sportsbook. I think that's where I'll go. Golden State and New York might be a little tricky, might be the most risky of those 2, but I think the favorites get it done this Monday.
Gentlemen, you both were phenomenal. It's fantastic to have both of your beautiful faces on this show this morning to kick off a Monday edition of The Sweat. We're going to put the show on ice. Hockey picks, DFS, and sportsbook plays coming up right after we hear from NBA Hall of Famer Mitch Richmond, who sits down with the starting 5 to explain why he wishes he fired up more 3 balls, channeling his inner Steph Curry back in his playing days.
I know you should like the state of the game right now because you was a shooter. You had a rifle. And a lot of dudes now is letting it fly. Dame, Steph.
Yes.
So a lot of dudes out there with range. How you feeling about that aspect of the game now?
I wish I would have took more threes. I mean, you look back and I think I read a stat. Klay Thompson, in the last 2 games, he probably shot 33 threes or something like that. I mean, that's unbelievable. I can remember shooting 5 and like, man, I'm shooting too many. You know what I mean? So the game has definitely changed. It's a more spread out game. We started a style like that 30 years ago with Don Nelson. And every team now is kind of adapting that, but they're also using the 3 ball a little bit more than other teams than back then. Yeah.
Do you remember that saying, you live by the 3, you die by the 3?
Oh, man, do I?
I don't feel like it's around no more, though.
You know why? It's because every team is shooting 3s. Sometimes they're not shooting good 3s, they're shooting bad 3s. So it gives a team who's down 15 points or 17 points got an opportunity to come back. Right? Because everybody's launching them. Everyone is launching them. So it gives an opportunity for the team to come back, and it's a spread out offense.
It's just when I used to look at it, I'm like, wow, don't shoot. Because then they used to go into the paint more.
That's right.
If they started missing those shots. But now they like,
the traditional big man role is different. It's
almost gone.
Spread. The big man had to be able to shoot now.
It's the Robert Horry, Rasheed Wallace type. Big men is on these 3s.
Back to the basketball is like rare.
And when you took a bad 3-point shot or missed a 3-point shot back then, you were going down to make them pay for it. So if you had Elijah one going down, he was going to either get an one or a bucket. It wasn't that I was going to come and take a 3-point shot too. It was that, hey, we're going to definitely go at your weakest opponent at that particular time, get a foul or get a bucket, and then those transition shots or bad shots end up, that's why you live by the, die by the 3, live by the 3, all of that saying, you know what I mean?
DraftKings presents Starting 5 live from the compound.
All right, you are looking at tonight's NHL slate.
Let's go Oilers! Come on, Oilers!
5 games on the menu. We have DraftKings contributor Jeff Ulrich and RotoWire's Paul Bruno here, and apparently Jeff Ulrich has turned Emerson into an Oilers fan.
Dude, I ordered an Oilers tank top yesterday. We're just sitting there, we're texting each other while we're watching dudes toss darts at the Valspar and mash piss missiles until Taylor Moore rose from the ashes, wins his first tournament. But we're gonna stick with hockey first. Yes, big Oilers guy here. Let's go, win the cup.
All right,
we'll see. We'll see if Emerson's an Oilers fan when they meet the Bruins in the final. And then his
he's gonna be a
loyalty
turncoat.
will really be tested.
He's gonna be a turncoat, I promise.
Gentlemen, let's dive into this hockey slate that was just punched up on the screen. Puck line or money line bet you like on this slate tonight, Jeff? What direction you going in?
It's the Florida Panthers puck line, minus 1.5. We're getting plus 135, which just feels like an absolute gift at this point. The Florida Panthers in an absolute dogfight to get in the playoffs. But, man, is this team rolling right now. 5 wins in their last 6 games. And, look, every Eastern Conference team that's above the standings, mainly the Boston Bruins, are absolutely praying that the Florida Panthers do not get into the playoffs. This team is starting to look like an exact replica of what we saw in the regular season last year, where they were just going to put up 6 goals every night and beat you that way. The Detroit Red Wings are done. They're not really that good a team anyways. The Panthers are 18-4 just straight up in their last 22 games in Detroit. So this has already been a lopsided series. Just with the way that the Panthers offense is going here, again, I'm surprised we're getting plus 135 on the puck line. I like the Panthers to cover tonight.
Paul, where are you going here, dude?
I love that call. You'd consider the last 10 games for each team. That tells the tale here. 7-2-1 for Florida, 2-7-1 for Detroit. Teams definitely going in the opposite directions. And the best players on the Panthers are playing like the best players, some of the best players in hockey in general. So that's a great call. But I also like a team that nobody's talking about these days in the West, and that's the LA Kings. Also 7-1-2 in their last 10 games, plus 225 on the puck line at home versus Calgary, a team that's been up and down like a toilet seat in the last 10. And they're either really, really bad or really, really good. They're going to have a tough time against Los Angeles tonight. I take the Kings on the puck line.
All right, which game total are you on tonight, Paul?
Well, there's a couple there that make a lot of sense for me. I look at Colorado's visit with Chicago. The over is set at 6. I think the Avs are capable of going over that number by themselves, quite frankly. So I say add another half puck for a positive payout in that one. I know Chicago's played a little bit better of late, but still there's a big difference between these two clubs overall. Again, it's a case of the best players on the Avs finding their groove right now like maybe never before this season. They're looking very formidable. And then I got to make my partner smile here a little bit. I'm going to take Edmonton versus San Jose over 7. Again, it's a situation where Edmonton might reach that total by themselves. I think it's points tonight for the Oilers. So go over a half puck higher for a better payout there as well.
All right, yeah, that's got the highest total on the slate. Sharks and Oilers sitting at 7 right now. Jeff, which game total are you targeting?
I think just with where the odds are sitting right now, I mean, there's 2 that I'm really targeting. I like that Kings and Flames game to go under. We're getting plus 100 to go under 6 goals as well. I'm expecting a bit of a tighter game from both these teams, and I agree. Like I'm a little surprised that the Kings you're basically getting a pick 'em here with the Kings at home. I think that's worth taking advantage of on the money line as well. But I like the under in this one. You look at how these teams have trended as well. LA is 5-4-1 over the last 10 games to the under. Just in terms of like longer term form as well, the under is 5-1-1 in the Kings' last 7 home games. And if you look at the meetings between these two teams as well, it's really trending towards the under. The last 25 games, 17 times the under is hit. So these two teams, again, Calgary is fighting for their playoff lives here. They've allowed way too many goals. I think they're going to tighten up tonight. The Kings have kind of been trending as an under team already. I think that getting plus 100 on under 6 goals is well worth taking that Calgary-LA game.
All right, favorite center on the slate as we make our way from the DK Sportsbook over to DraftKings. Talking DFS now, Jeff. Who do you like? Is it our guy? Is it our guy in Edmonton?
Plugging in my better microphone.
There you go. That sounds good. You sound good.
I like Leon Draisaitl tonight. But let's start with the Oilers. There's 2 centers I really like. Leon Draisaitl's only 8,200. Whenever there's this big a price gap, I know Paul loves to point this out, and it's well worth pointing out. Whenever there's this big a price gap between Draisaitl and guys like McKinnon and McDavid, you need to take advantage of it. Leon's really been pumping up the production of late too. His last 10 games, 16 points, 8 goals. And I like Alex Barkov for a lot of the same reasons as well. 6,700. He's just way too cheap. I mean, this is a player who's multiple point games, in 3 straight games. Now he's going up against the Red Wings in a must-win game. That offense is cooking. So under 7K for Barkov, well worth taking advantage of. Leon Draisaitl, though, would be my main target at 8,200.
Paul, do you go with the 2 best hockey players on the planet, McDavid or Draisaitl, or are you going another direction?
I love the call on Draisaitl at this price. You know, when I set my lineups on a daily basis, I want to get one or two guys that are right around that 8,000 mark that make a little more sense than a couple of guys that are higher priced. Jeff made the case beautifully, so I'm not going to repeat a lot of what he said, but I'm in lockstep with the Draisaitl call. Also love the Barkov call. Florida scoring a ton of goals, and he's their offensive leader alongside Matthew Tkachuk, who I'll talk about, I'm sure, a little bit later. But $6,700, screaming hot value against the Red Wings club that's not looking too interested right now. But I'll give you a couple other names to think about. How about Tim Stützle of Ottawa? He's been on fire for a long time, and yet only $7,100 the price tag against the Pittsburgh club that's really scuffling and fighting to stay relevant in the playoff hunt. So I'll take him. And then Anze Kopitar, again, from a team that has been overlooked in Los Angeles. He's their number one center, one of the top teams in the Western Conference, yet he's only priced at $5,900 for a matchup against Calgary at home. I think that's a real good value, too.
All right, Paul, take us to the wings and things department. Who you rolling with?
Well, I said I'd talk about Matthew Tkachuk, and I said I'd take one or two guys over 8,000. So Tkachuk and Draisaitl are my guys tonight. Tkachuk has been the leading scorer for Florida all season long, and this could be, as I say, I like to say points night when there's a lopsided matchup here. Then Mikko Rantanen for Colorado has been just shooting the lights out for a long time this season, one of the top goal scorers in the league again, and his price tag is under 8,000. So another great value in a big mismatch against Chicago. And then finally, Evander Kane of Edmonton, not showing a lot of love with the big boys in Edmonton, expected to roll. I think he's going to be riding shotgun with them, and a great value for me at $6,200 against San Jose.
All right, Jeff, what do you think? Who you rolling with at the wing?
Yeah, I got Evander Kane circled with like red marker here, and for like good reason, not because he's in trouble. He's only 6,200. I mean, this feels like very underpriced. Feels like people have kind of forgotten about Evander Kane. He missed such a big chunk of the season, but he's been back for a few games now. Obviously broke out in his last game with a hat trick, but I mean, we have the Oilers with the biggest implied team total on the slate. We have Evander Kane going up against his old team. He's playing alongside Connor McDavid. This is way too cheap a price. I would not shock me to see Evander Kane get another multi-point effort there. And, you can kind of stick with the Oilers if you want going down their lineup. I think Kyler Yamamoto at 3,100 is well worth a value play. I know we'll talk about values later in the segment, but Yamamoto is, again, another top six forward, only 3,100. Just gets you easy, cheap exposure to that Edmonton offense tonight on the wing.
All right, Ulrich, back in the blue line, your defenseman du jour, please.
Yeah, there's so many top centers on this slate that I just feel like you got to go cheap tonight at defense. I think the highest I really want to pay is Devin Taves with Colorado. Again, Colorado's another team. We haven't talked about it too much this segment. I mean, but they're in an absolute monster spot for DFS against Chicago tonight. Massive favorites. Taves has hit the block shot bonus in 4 straight games now. He had 4 shots on goal in his last game. He's going to be out there playing 20-plus minutes. Maybe the point production isn't on like Cale Makar's spot, but at 5K, if he gets on the score sheet at all, he's going to be a massive value. And Evan Bouchard is the other guy under 5K. Really want to target. The points haven't quite come at the rate that I think some people were expecting yet with Bouchard, but it's going to come. And he's getting power play opportunities, playing more minutes. Very productive, just like Taves, and only 4,100.
All right. So, you got a sneaky good play for us here, Paul, back in the blue line?
Yeah, Jeff took a couple of guys that I wanted to talk about, but how about Gustav Forsling? Florida's got 3 defensemen you could pick that are going to be involved in the offense on a nightly basis when they shoot it up. And Forsling is the cheapest one. He's getting first pairing minutes alongside Aaron Ekblad, and is only priced at $4,500. So that's fine with me. And I like Drew Doughty also in the sub 5,000 range. He's the linchpin on the Kings power play, gets all the big minutes, a lot of offensive zone starts. This could be, I don't think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think it's going to be a shootout, and he's going to be providing me value at that price. I love the call on Devin Taves, playing first pairing minutes with Cale Makar, also on the power play, maybe second power play unit, but he's going to play upwards of 25 minutes in that lopsided tilt. And of course, I got to finish up agreeing with him on Evan Bouchard, $4,100, maybe the best value among all the defensemen that are in play for me tonight.
All right, speaking of value, how about an overall value play that you're rolling with, Paul?
Anthony Duclair, winger on the first line with Florida, $3,900. Are you kidding me? That has to be a lock. Quinton Byfield, similarly with Los Angeles, playing first line minutes alongside Kopitar, $3,500 against Calgary. That's another great value play. And then Warren Fogle, back to the Edmonton game, doesn't matter whether he plays first line or second line. He's going to be playing one of the best players in the world, and he's only priced at $2,900. These are all three strong considerations for me tonight.
All right, Jeff, who are you considering for your value play?
Yeah, I mentioned Kailer Yamamoto. He's only 3,100. Again, another nice winger on Edmonton to target if you're just looking for a cheap guy and you want more exposure there. I would also look at the Kings. Alex Iafallo is only 3,400. He's just a solid, productive winger. He's bumped down in the third line a bit, but he still gets power play exposure. So 3,400, certainly a good one-off target. And then I'll just end by mentioning Jonathan Huberdeau is only $3,900. I mean, it's just too cheap a price to kind of ignore on Huberdeau. Absolutely fine, again, as a one-off play. I don't love the Kings offense to explode tonight, but he's under 4K, and this is a player who's always in play for a multi-point night. I think Huberdeau has to be on your list of value plays tonight.
Paul, adios, amigo. Good stuff. And Jeff, please stick around because Colin Sherwin is going to join us once again from Vegas. We'll talk some WGC, Dell Technologies match play. Final curtain call there at Austin Country Club, so hang out.
Yeah, too bad.
Yep.
Yo, DraftKings, y'all got the most ways to bet on NBA players. I'm hyped. Hitting props, that's my dog. Stack up buckets, blocks, and boards on my boy? Or superstar going one-on-one against another superstar? Oh, it's on. And all these bets are on my man's dedicated page? Now you spoiling me, DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and bet $5 to win $150 in bonus bets on your team to win. Action's so good, why bet anywhere else? That's my move. He used my move.
You know, betting without a game plan is a little like skating a giant ramp without helmet and pads. I wouldn't risk it. And I wouldn't bet without a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook provides you with tools to set a realistic budget and time limits, so you're ready to bet responsibly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook and casino apps to learn more about how you can practice safe bets.
This season, DraftKings Sportsbook is your place to bet on the greatest sport on ice. There's so many ways to get closer to the game. And with this latest offer, you can win big. Now that is deserving of some victory stick taps.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up with the promo code, and take advantage of this great offer.
And get in on the action with an official sports betting partner of the NHL.
With DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports, you can play for millions with a lineup full of big NBA stars. Maybe you throw in a three-point specialist that's been around the league, seen a thing or two. You know, if you want. Download DraftKings and play for your share of millions. Action's so good, why play NBA anywhere else?
All right, final block of the show. Final time we will see the WGC Dell Technologies match play going down at Austin Country Club, a place that Scotty Scheffler is pretty damn good at playing golf at. Colin Sherwin has returned. Jeff Ulrich has returned. We've all heard of Selection Sunday. This is Selection Monday on the PGA Tour, guys. Groupings for the match play are going to be announced today at high noon, so here in about 15 minutes or so. So instead of picking which position these dudes will finish at, which is what we typically do during our PGA Tour pin placement segment, I need you guys to have a little bit of fun. Let's try to predict how far the following golfers will make a run in this tournament. How deep of a run will last year's champion, Scotty Scheffler, who was also runner-up the year prior, how deep of a run will he make, Jeff?
Deep? How deep can we go here? Win again? I mean,
yeah, let's
Scotty
go.
Scotty Scheffler is 10-2-2 in his singles career. I mean, this isn't like some veteran player who, you know, is battle hardened in the Ryder Cup. It's just a guy who's just impossible to beat. I mean, there's so much will to win with Scotty Scheffler, and he does everything well. I'm not going to pick him to make anything less than the semifinals. I'm going to say semifinals, a minimum for Scotty Scheffler. I mean, look, you can make the argument John Rahm's more talented, Rory McIlroy's more talented. Nobody is better at just winning than Scotty Scheffler right now. I mean, he just wills his way. He wills the other person to lose to him. I mean, I don't even know other way to put it. And this kind of event, the match play, is absolutely perfect for a guy with that kind of mentality. So there's no weaknesses in his game. You know, the field has to hope his putter doesn't show up or something this week. But no, I'll take the semifinals. Look, It's a highly variable format. I mean, obviously things can happen, but I'm not going to pick him for anything less than the semifinals, just with some prognosticating off the top of the week here.
All right, Colin, what's he going to do? Where will Scotty Scheffler be come the weekend? Will he make the weekend? Or could we have ourselves our own March Madness upset?
I mean, I think we've seen this week that sometimes brackets can be a tough thing to predict when trying to pick teams. I think, look, Scheffler's probably playing better than anybody in this field, and he's in his own backyard. I'll put exactly where Jeff is. I think the semifinals is perfect. But he's going to be the favorite, I think, in this field. Like, just because he's at home, it'll depend on the matchups and how the draw breaks down and, his group. Look, anything can happen. Kansas was the number 1 overall seed. How'd that work out? You catch a guy on the wrong day, you hit a bad shot, something happens, you lose a hole, and all of a sudden you're in trouble. So trying to predict this is tough. You're just trying to find value. If you're just trying to find value, I think Scheffler's, depending on what the price is probably going to be the favorite for a reason.
All right, Colin, Xander Schauffele, top 10 player in the world, going to be here. How far do you think he goes?
I think Xander wins his group, but I don't know if he gets any further than that. So if you win your group, it's basically 64. You play 3 guys, you cut it down to 16, then 8, then 4, then 2. I think Schauffele can win his group, but maybe when we get to the individual brackets, he maybe doesn't do as well. But look, he plenty of experience in the match play format, playing really well right now. This is just going to depend on who he draws. It all kind of depends on what's going to happen here in about an hour when we all find out who's going to play where. You're looking for guys that have experience in match play, guys who have played well with the U.S. Amateur. Remember, the last 6 rounds of the U.S. Amateur are all match play. If you've got some college golf experience, sometimes there's some college golf guys that have some match play experience. So look for guys who have played in the format before, and of course Ryder Cup as well. So yeah, give me Schauffele to win his group, but maybe not get any further than that.
Jeff, he's got the 6th best odds to win it all, plus 2,200.
Yeah, he's performed okay here. I mean, I believe he won his group 1 year, but he's never really gotten deep into this event. Schauffele's got experience, so I mean, it would not be overly shocking for me to see him make a run. He's got the nice kind of all-around game that I think you want. He can do it around the greens. He can kind of beat you with the putter on any day. At the same time, like, if we take this a step further and just look at the odds, I mean, I would rather take a shot with some players underneath him this week. I just would. So I'm really not going to predict Xander for too much. He's been good. The back has just been this like continuing story with him. And I mean, look, he shot 2 good rounds at Bay Hill and then he completely imploded. Didn't really bounce back at the players. I don't really know what's going on with his game. It certainly doesn't look like it's trending towards a peak or anything. So I'm just going to say Schauffele maybe wins a match or 2, but he probably loses out to someone who gets hot in his group. Again, not knowing what group he's in quite yet.
Jeff, what do you think about Jordan Spieth? Dude's got to be annoying as hell to play in match play, but you got to almost assume the craziest things will happen in 18 holes when you play this dude. He's playing well, but as we discussed yesterday, he's failing on Sundays here, despite getting some of the luckiest bounces ever by a golfer.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of is and he kind of isn't failing on Sundays. Like, he obviously should have converted the short birdie putt on 17 yesterday. He obviously shouldn't have hit it on the water on 16, but at the same time, like, he saved par or bogey somehow on 16, and he put himself in a position to potentially even like tie the lead there. So like the shots are being made for Jordan Spieth. Like, to me, Jordan Spieth looks extremely close. I mentioned going down in odds from Schauffele. And Spieth is a player I'd have quite a bit of interest in this week. Again, another player from Texas. You mentioned how annoying he would be to play against in match play. It's not just that he's annoying to play. It's annoying when he's in this kind of form. I mean, imagine going up against peak Jordan Spieth and having to see him like hit shots to 5 feet from like 2 fairways down. That's kind of the way he's playing right now. And I think that's good for match play. So I definitely have some interest in Jordan Spieth this week. I think if he gets out of his group, you will see him make a run. So I'm going to put him right in the semifinal bracket with Scheffler. I could see both those players kind of meeting up at some point. Again, yeah, I mean, not knowing, they could be in the same group or something too. But Jordan Spieth, to me, is a player you should have some interest in this week. I know he's coming off. He's played a couple weeks in a row now, but I don't think that matters too much. This event isn't as grueling as people make it out to be. The winners here have been 30 plus in 4 of the past 5 seasons. So I think Jordan Spieth at plus 25, a lot of interest. I think he probably makes a deep run this week.
All right, Colin, semifinal bracket, where are you placing him?
I don't think he gets out of his group. I am on the opposite side of Jeff here. Look, I think Jordan playing really well right now. Also a Texas guy, so he's playing in his backyard here. But for me, I just think the variance is so high. Look, the good news about match play is that for a guy like Spieth, who is so high variance, who can make, birdie, eagle, birdie, quad, that quad's only going to count one hole against you here. But what I question is his ability to string together 7 good rounds to win a tournament like this. And I just don't think that he can be as consistent for a long enough period to get out. So depending on the group he draws, he could be 2-1 and just not even get out of the group. That's potentially possible. So I'm going to fade Jordan this week. I just think his game is too high variance for the format. So I'm a pass.
All right. Colin, Tommy Fleetwood, what do you think?
Playing really well right now, has experience in match play as well. I think this could be a guy who could make a run here. I'm interested to see where he gets bracketed. Not a ton of love here from me, but I think he's a guy I'll definitely have an eye on. And depending on his group and the price, he's a guy who could match up. But basically like a middle of the road, definitely can get out of the group. I'll even give him a spot in the quarterfinals.
All right, Jeff, Tommy Fleetwood. Colin says he could have a spot in the quarterfinals. What do you think?
Yeah, Fleetwood's interesting. And I think Fleetwood is the perfect kind of player where if you're looking at him this week, you really need to analyze what kind of group he's in. If he's in like Scheffler's group or something like that, and maybe even Rahm, I don't necessarily know if I'd go there, but obviously a ton of Ryder Cup experience. And he's also in that sort of 30-year-old age bracket where these are the type of players who make runs, like good all-around players with really solid short games who can kind of get hot on the greens. I actually like Fleetwood this week. I mean, if not knowing what group he's in, I would suggest he's probably going to be a really good value to target, especially for DFS to get out of his group and make a run. So I'll say he makes it out of his group and makes it to the quarters. But again, this is not a player I would necessarily go chasing against some of the top names. But Fleetwood is shown a trend, he's playing better, played really well last week, kind of got a bad break on that par 5 and just couldn't recover. But I think it's getting pretty close for Tommy. And this is the kind of event, again, where the players in his age range and his kind of stylistic play as well, this is where they've broken through. Horschel, Kuchar, and Kisner all come to mind.
Yeah, they had to hurt a little bit yesterday, huh? Watching Fleetwood fumble it. First win.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
In case you wanted to relive it.
You're welcome, man. Yeah, America's his kryptonite, dude. You can't win over here.
It is.
Sam,
he's the new Louis Oosthuizen.
Which Louis couldn't finish it for you on the Live Tour yesterday either, dude. Damn, what a rough Sunday for Jeff Ulrich. Sam Burns, not a rough Sunday for him yesterday. Fired, I forget what it was, Jeff, maybe a 66, 67. Had a good Sunday showing yesterday at the Valspar. What do you think? What are your expectations for him here at the match play?
Sam Burns is another player who, again, could be really annoying to play against in matches. This is a player who just gains strokes putting every single week. He is such a good putter. Now, he's never played this event, and you don't really know how he's going to handle the greens here, but knowing that Sam Burns is such a good putter, he's probably going to do pretty well here. What was bothering Burns early in the season was just the ball striking. His setup was hampering him. He wasn't gaining any strokes. He was sometimes even losing strokes off the tee, which is really rare for him, but he was just hemorrhaging them on approach. He gained strokes on approach last week. I don't know if his game is all the way back, but I think in a match play format, he could definitely make some noise. I can't pick everyone to win here, so I'm going to say Sam Burns just wins a match and doesn't make it out of his group. It's his first time playing the event, but he is a player to keep an eye on. And again, this is all group dependent. If Sam Burns got in a weak group, I definitely have some interest in him, but I still feel like this is a player who working through some things, especially with the ball striking department, but that putter, man, it can carry you so far in this format that you at least have to keep an eye on Sam Burns this week because he showed some signs of life at the Valspar last week.
Colin, is he going to be that annoying to play against? Or are you on the same page here with Jeff?
Anybody who can roll in long putts is always going to be annoying to play against in match play. We've all, been betting with our friends and so you're not making that 40-footer and then the guy drains it and you have to buy the beer. It's sort of that same thing. But the problem with Burns for me, yes, shot a great round, sixth at Copperhead, but 35th at TPC, cut from the Palmer, cut from the Genesis. He's not exactly in form right now. I don't think there's any value at all at 35-1. And looking back at his amateur career, doesn't really have a deep run in the amateur or anything like that where played well at Louisiana State, but like isn't a guy who's got a ton of experience in this format, and especially since he's never played this event before. So I'll be a pass this week.
All right, good stuff, guys. Well, those groups are going to be announced, in 5 minutes here? So everybody stay tuned to the Twitter streets for that. That is going to be it for us for a show. Thank you for joining us. We will be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We will see you then. Adios.
Deuces.